All right, welcome. In this video, I'll be showing you how to FOIL in math. This is something that you'll use all the time in math and is a very useful skill to know. So let's jump into it. Okay, so in school, by this point in math classes, you've probably learned how to solve these types of equations here. They're just different ways of multiplying, and so if we go through, you'd probably know that 15 times 10 at the top here, you take the 15 and you multiply it by the 10, and you would get 150. Similarly with the next problem, you would take the 4 right here, and you would distribute it to the 2, and then you'd also distribute it to the 5, those two terms right there and there. And so, by multiplying those, you would get 8x plus 20. And similarly with the last one, you may have even seen a few problems where you have two variables. It still doesn't change the way you do the problem, just like you've known before. You do the 8 over to the 2 right there, to the first term, and then you would also multiply the 8 over to the second term, so you distribute it across both terms, and you would get 16x plus 24y. But what we're going to talk about today is what happens if you have two different components. You have this polynomial here and another polynomial here. What would you do? Because as we see before, when you have just one term out in front, you just distribute it to both of the other terms inside the parentheses. But when you have two terms, it's not quite that easy, or so you'd think. There is a helpful acronym you can use to solve this problem, and it is called FOIL, as you would have guessed. So FOIL is an acronym, and the F in FOIL stands for first, the O in FOIL stands for outside, the I stands for inside, and L stands for last. So we'll see what that means in a minute, but just keep those four words in your mind. FOIL, first, outside, inside, last. And let's take another look at that problem. So we had x plus 3 times 2x plus 12. And for a helpful reminder, we're just going to put that in the corner of the paper. So you have FOIL right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the first pairs, as FOIL says. We're going to just take a look at the first word, well, the first letter, first. So what we're going to do first is multiply the first two terms of the polynomials. So we'll take x times 2x, and then we'll write that here. So 2x times x, that's 2x squared. And then we're going to want to put a plus sign there because we'll want to add the next set of numbers. And so we've done that. We've done the first part of FOIL. We multiplied the first two terms here and here. So now we're going to want to look at the next part, outside. So when we look at this, when we get to outside, we want to multiply the two outside terms. So we're going to take x and 12 and distribute that x to that 12. So then our next number here is 12x, because we just took the x, multiplied it by the 12, and we're now adding that here. So the next part of FOIL is inside. So then now we've done the first two terms, we've done the outside two terms. Now we want to take the two inside terms, right? Because if these two are on the outside, then these two are on the inside. So we'll take the 3 and we'll distribute that. Here, let me write that a little bit better. We'll write it underneath here. We'll take the 3 and we'll distribute that to the 2. We'll just put an x over that. And so then that'll be the next term that we add in multiplying these two together. So we'll get 6x there, because we just took the 3 times the 2 to multiply the inside pairs. Then the last step is last. So we're going to take the last term in this polynomial and this little expression here in the parentheses, and we're going to take the last term in this parenthesis and we're going to multiply them together. So I'll just draw that there to help picture that. This term times that term. So 3 times 6 is 36. So we're going to put that on the end there. And so we could just stop here because we have FOILed it, but just to practice our simplification, we're just going to simplify this and combine like terms. So we have 12x and 6x, so we could just combine those two together, and that gives us 2x squared plus 18x plus 36. And that's how you FOIL. So we started out by taking the first two terms in the parentheses. This is the first term in this parenthesis. This is the first term in this parenthesis. And we multiplied them together, and that was our first number. And then we take our outside numbers. So in this one, wherever you write it, x is the outside, so x is the outside one. It's on the outside of all of this, it's on the far left on the outside, and you take that x and you multiply it by the 12, because that's the other outside term, the ones on the outside. Then we take the inside terms, which are the 3 and the 2 because they're on the inside, and we'll take the last terms. And we'll take those 4 terms and add them together like we did here, and then simplify it to get our answer. And it's just helpful to do this sometimes, because there are times where it's a lot easier to think of something as one equation rather than looking at it this way, though this is helpful. So yeah, there we go. So let's try another example of that. I have written here 5x minus 3 in parentheses times x plus 4 in parentheses. So again, we'll just add that out there to help us think about this here. And I'll just give you a couple seconds to think about what to do first. All right, so we're going to start out by starting with the first terms again, right? The first term here in the polynomial, in this expression, and the first term here in this expression. So we're going to take those and multiply them together. Draw those arrows to help visualize that. And we'll write that first term here. So 5x times x will get us 5x squared. And so then we'll add the next term. And so we've done the first. Now let's look at the outside. What do we have? We have 5x times 4. So 5x, well, 5 times 4 is 20. But it's not just 5, it's 5x. So we'll make sure to put the x there. And there we go. We've now done the outside numbers. So now we're going to look at the inside numbers. We have, now don't forget, this can be easy to miss, -3, because we have to account for the sign in front of it, and x. Those are our two inside ones. So we're going to multiply those together, and that will get us -3x. And then we'll look at the last numbers, which will get us -3 times 4. So that will be minus 12. So then we look and see if we can simplify anything. And if you've noticed that we can simplify anything, you are right. So you probably noticed that we have the 20x and the 3x. So what we can do then is simplify it down to 5x squared plus 17x minus 12. And there you go. So let's take a look at one last example. And here I made it a little tricky. We have two different variables. We have x and y. But that still doesn't change how we FOIL. Even though we have a y and an x and another y and another x, we have two different terms within this parenthesis, and we're still multiplying it by two other terms here and here. So we just do the same thing as we've always done. We'll take the first term here, 6y, and we'll look at and multiply it by y so that we can multiply our first terms, the first step of FOIL. So we'll take 6y times y, and we'll get 6y squared. And so then we'll look at our outside terms again, just like before, and we'll get, let's see, our outside terms are 6y and 3x. And so we'll multiply that 6y by that 3x, minus 3x, sorry. Make sure you get that. And so, multiplying that negative, it's still negative. 18yx, right? Because we're just multiplying y times x, and that's what you do when you have two different variables. So then we'll take the inside terms, 3x and y, and we'll multiply those. So negative 3x times a y gets us a negative 3yx. And you can put 3yx or 3xy. Since you're multiplying, due to the to the properties of multiplication, you can put those in any order, and you would still get the same answer. But for this problem, I'm just doing yx. So then you would take the last terms, and it'd be negative 3x times a negative 3y, and when you multiply negative 3 and negative 3, you get a positive number, in this case, positive 9x squared, because we have two x's that we're multiplying together, so it's x squared. And we're going to take a look again, now that we've done that, now that we've FOILed it, and we're going to simplify. So we have 6y squared, and we can simplify these two terms, the 18 and the 3, to negative 18, 19, 20, 18, 19, 20, and 21, 21yx plus 9x squared. And there you go. So you can see it doesn't matter whether you have, one variable or two. You can still FOIL it as long as you have two terms in one parenthesis being multiplied to two terms in another parenthesis, another set of parentheses rather, and that's how you do it. So that would be the end. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any comments or critiques or any helpful suggestions to make these videos better, please comment them below. If I did a good job, please like and still comment on anything that you liked so that I can keep doing it in the future. Thanks, and have a good day. We'll see ya.